didn't like me back then because you didn't see I had any value. Now you see I have value and you want to be near me. And I think that's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Sheroic Podcast.
This is where you discover what it takes to create success,
Happiness.
and the best version of you. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Sheroic Podcast. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Cassey. And today we are talking about frenemies.
We are talking about frenemies.
We all have them, and hopefully they're no longer in our lives because they don't make us feel so good about ourselves, do they?
Yeah, no, they don't. And we actually started talking about this based on a question that Mariz Rivera sent us.
Thank you, Mariz.
Thank you, Mariz. What do you do when you feel like everyone is trying to destroy your dreams?
Ooh, when everyone is trying to destroy your dreams.
Yeah. So let's assume there's multiple different people in your life who can destroy that dream, right? Friends, but also family members.
Your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, like anyone who's close to you, because that is, those are the people around you.
Right. So really the question is, A, do you think they're trying to deliberately destroy your dreams? Right? Or B, are they trying to protect you because they fear that you may fail?
There's definitely both. I think for me personally, my parents were not deliberately trying to destroy my dreams of becoming a fashion designer. They wanted to protect me from failure.
Right.
And that is where it's not okay, because we all need to fail in our lives to really appreciate what winning, what succeeding truly feels like. And failure is the best way to learn. So for me, my parents were the ones who tried to crush my dreams. But when I distanced myself from them, I started to thrive.
Did you feel like that they were actively trying to destroy them? Like, did you understand at the time that they just didn't want you to see you fail?
At the time, because I was like 16, leading into my late teens, I thought they were trying to destroy my dreams.
Right.
But now, looking back on it, and I'm 30 now, I know that they were trying to protect me from failure. They wanted me to be financially sound. But the way that they did it really made me feel like they were against me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought about this one. And I thought there are circumstances in my life, like you, where people have, so like my brother, for instance, when I was young and I wanted to go to college and I wanted to study filmmaking and I wanted to come to America and I wanted to be a filmmaker in America, my brother was always like, oh God, yeah, right, you know, like that's easy, sure. And he was never encouraging. Same with my dad. He was like, your head's in the clouds, what are you doing? My dad, I think, was like truly worried that when he thought I'd realized my dreams were never going to come true, that it would upset me. So I think for him, he was like trying to make me realize how outrageous the dream was so that I wouldn't go for it, so that I wouldn't be upset when I didn't reach it.
Wow.
But my brother, I came to realize, literally, so I was like, I'm going to move to America. And he's like, you're crazy. You know, like, yeah, right, you're never going to do it. I came to realize it was because he secretly wanted to be an actor. And his whole life growing up under a Greek family with my father, who was very business oriented, had put so much pressure on him as the first child, the son, to be an actuary, to be maths, to be, you know, in that type of business world, that he just went along with it over the years. So he became an actuary and he was miserable. So he was doing a job he hated. He secretly wanted to be an actor. I was like the youngest child that was like, hey, I don't care, I'm going to do it. And over time I realized, wow, that was why, because he wanted it for himself. And it wasn't that he didn't want me to achieve it. It's that I think he just told himself it wasn't possible, so that he didn't have to tell himself why he wasn't going for the dream. So he then reflected that back on me.
That makes
So
sense.
that was kind of one example that I was like, you know what? From now on, I'm going to ask the question of what is their intentions.
And sometimes they don't even know.
Because, right? He didn't even know.
But when did you realize this? Not when you were younger when it was happening. You didn't realize this till what, recently or something?
It was when he turned around one day and literally called me and was like, I'm going to quit my job and I want to act and I want to come. And I was living in America. So I was already married.
Yeah.
I was living in America. He'd been doing his job for 10 years or whatever. And he literally was like, I'm going to come to America and act. Would you mind if I stayed with you for a while? And it just clicked. It just clicked for me. I was like, that's why he was always so negative on my dreams. And so, in regards to that question, the first thing I do is say, do they love me, right? Because how do they actually feel about me?
And in both our cases, it's both family.
Exactly.
So they should love us. So there must be a meaning behind what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I thought about, like, there must be, like, at the time, I didn't think anything.
Oh, me neither. I was just upset, angry, hated my parents.
Yeah.
That's how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't realize until, a few years ago or whatever that they wanted the best for me.
Yeah.
But when you're going through it, it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah. And so, like you said, with family, I think it can be a little different, but still ask yourself the question, right? What is their intention? And then if their intention isn't to bring you down, then I actually think, okay, their intentions are pure.
Right.
But I think we've all had experiences, sadly, where friends have either stabbed you in the back or, done some things wrong. So how do you handle that situation? Do you have an example?
I mean, I am going to be a little bit vague, but I still am going to give an example.
Okay.
In the business world, it is very different. People want to be your friends because sometimes they're pure, like you and I, we're real friends. But sometimes you get those people who want to use you or are jealous of what you have, so they're going to use you and then steer you in the wrong direction. And it seems like things from movies, and like, why would someone actually spend their energy to do that? But people do that. And moving down to LA, I had a few experiences similar to that, and it has scarred me so that now I can't be so trusting of people. It takes me longer to open up to people, which is not very much like a Cassey thing to do, but now I'm a lot more cautious.
What do you do in that caution? Like, do you ask yourself certain questions that you wished you would ask yourself when that person that stabbed you in the back? Like, what do you do? Like, how are you cautious? And then when do you decide to let someone into your circle?
I think it all has to do with gut feeling. I think when something doesn't feel right, really, really listen to that and ask yourself why, dissect what happened during your interaction in the conversation, and then you'll start to see things repeat over and over again. And if you just don't feel right about it, then just don't get near it. And that's what I've done. If someone is just a little bit off, and if they're too nice or too something, you just have to take time, because through time comes the truth. And then you begin to open up when you click on stuff and you see that we're both being raw and real with each other. And for me, business relationships are just like friendships. We have to trust each other and we have to want the best for each other.
Yeah. I think that's a real female thing, though. I don't think guys approach it in that way.
What, gut feeling type thing?
No, just like approaching things like they're my friend, and so we go. Just from talking to my husband, and sometimes he literally turns around to me. He's like, but it's business. Like, why are you getting upset about it? I'm like, because they told me they would do this, and now they're turning around and they're doing something completely different, and they're doing it behind my back. And he literally is like, but it's business. But I see them as a friend. Yeah. So that's where it gets hard.
I understand there's business and then there's friends, but then I think trust is trust.
Yeah.
And if you say you're going to do something, you need to follow through with it. And you need to want the best for the other person in the relationship. I actually think it was Tom, who I was talking to, your husband, who said that the best relationship is one where both sides feel like they're taking advantage of each other.
Yeah.
Is that what Tom says?
It's basically what you need to be selfish.
Yeah.
And they need to be selfish.
Yes, that's
so
what he said.
When you're both coming into a partnership and you're both getting something out of it, that is the best type of business. Because now you're both being selfish, you're both scratching that selfish need, and so it becomes, basically combined, and you're both putting in equal effort. It's when one person is trying to get something out of you that you may not be getting back from them in business.
Yes.
But actually, in fact, that's kind of like with friends as well, though, right?
That's why I think it's kind of the same. And that's why I feel like me as a woman treating my business relationships in a similar fashion to my friendships works for me. because I have to know that you're a good person and you're running a good business, and I want to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And if someone is doing sketchy stuff as a person or in their business, like, I just don't want to be anywhere near that. I don't know. For me, it is kind of the same.
Yeah. So gut feeling's a big thing.
Gut feeling is a huge thing.
Okay. And then do you ask yourself any types of questions?
Well, I will consult with other people who are at that meeting or hangout, and
That's good.
And because sometimes, oddly enough, I am more like a guy in the sense that I kind of have like horse blinders on, like this on the side of my eyes, and I just kind of see what I want to see, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever. But Sam, my boyfriend, he's very intuitive, so I will talk to him afterwards, like, hey, what do you think about so and so? He'll be like, well, actually, what she said about whatever, and then we'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't catch on to that. So I think talking it out, and kind of reaffirming how you felt about something or how you didn't feel or what you didn't see is a really good way to assess too.
Like almost getting a third party opinion.
Yes, getting a third party opinion, because like I said, I am very used to trusting everybody and seeing the best in everybody, but I've been burned too many times that I need to talk to someone else before I go full on, spill everything and all that kind of stuff. Because some people will take advantage of you, and they surely have, in my case anyway.
Have you found that that's changed over time as your popularity in your YouTube channel has grown and stuff?
For sure, there are more people trying to latch on and more people trying to okay, here's one thing that really, really makes me go, Urgh. When people who I don't even know or have no relationship with them just want to, quote unquote, pick my brain. I hate that phrase so much. And I've talked to other friends in the business who also don't like that phrase, because it means that you're going to take my time and extract all this information over a cup of coffee or whatever. I don't even drink coffee, but like, instead of working on, hey, let's build a relationship here, let's be friends and let's see what we can do for each other, before you just fall and say, hey, let me open you up like an encyclopedia and let me like take everything outside of you. Now, that's not to say that I'm selfish and I don't want to help anyone, because I'm all about mentorship, helping people, but it has to come from a place where both sides feel like they're helping each other. So I don't know. Do you ever get that question? I want to pick your brain. Like, how does that make you feel?
So I kind of do, but not really to the extent that you do. I've noticed over, as Quest has grown, obviously initially no one knew who Quest was, so no one thought twice. The more Quest got popular, the more people then realized that I was part of the founding team. And so then you do get people that reach out, absolutely, and try to get free bars. I mean, it's kind of different, but sometimes depending on who it is, it's like, okay, they just genuinely, they don't realize how inappropriate this is. And I literally, like, a big thing for me is, what is their intention? Right. I ask myself that all the time, because some people come across, I want free bars. But their intention isn't to be rude. They just see, they love the bar and they see the opportunity of a free bar and they can't help themselves.
So, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The intention has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's just that I can see that intention when someone's asking, let me pick your brain, because I see in their eyes, I want to be famous. I want to have lots of money. And it's like, I don't want to help someone like that. I want to help someone who actually wants to learn and become part of this community. And that's another thing, goes back to the gut. Like, I can see that. And you will usually see, too, certain YouTubers or whatever who they'll start out, maybe have a channel that totally blows up. But you can see when they're talking to the camera that there's something else that they want from this. Usually it's fame and subscribers, that they're not going to last long. And then there you go, 3 years of a lifespan on YouTube and subscribers are down again. Like, the intention has to be there from the beginning in order for you to last. In friendships and in business. Yeah.
That's really true. And I find it difficult when the two mix, and I'm not sure when someone's approaching me from a friendship standpoint or a business standpoint.
That's confusing.
And the reason why it makes a difference to me is I'm willing to put in a different type of amount of energy to a friend than I am to a business. And like my sister. I'm so close with my sister. I will drop everything. If she said she needed me, I would drop everything in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And if she told me she needed me once a week, every single week for the next year, I would drop everything. Because she's my true friend, right? She's looking for something from me, right? But it's so genuine and authentic, and it's someone that I so adore. I would give my heart and soul to her, right? But when it comes from a business standpoint, if she turned to me, she said, "Hey, I need business advice," I would give it to a certain point. The second it starts affecting my business and she's looking to grow her business, I would be honest.
Yeah.
And I would say, "I can't help you anymore," or "Look, maybe we'll do this once a month."
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I would almost look at what the need is and then kind of then go from there. Does that make sense?
You know, speaking of sisters, so funny because my sister and I actually wanted to be in business together. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but my sister and I tried to start a brand called Fitterazzi, and it was supposed to be a like body positive magazine, a digital magazine. And she was going to be the editor-in-chief and all this kind of stuff. It was going to be amazing. And she's an amazing writer, and I love her so much. But as business partners, we cannot work together because Jacqueline is similar to me, and she cannot take orders from someone else. And so what started happening, though, was she didn't tell me that. I just noticed that when I would email her asking for analytics or whatever, she just wouldn't really answer really shortly. I knew there was something wrong because that's not who she is. And it turned out that this business partnership was affecting our sistership. Is that even a word? Like
I love it. Sistership. Yes, it's a word.
Whatever.
It is now.
And
hashtag
so,
sistership.
Hashtag sistership. That's kind of hard to say. And so I ended up saying, you know what? Take the magazine, take the business. I need to save our sistership. And then our relationship healed again. After I did that, she was able to sell that brand and that company. And so it was awesome for her. And that's fine with me. I just want us to be happy and peaceful. And same thing with the reason why we started this podcast. And we said we will not let this podcast or any business stuff that we do together affect our friendship, which to me is the most priceless thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess talking about business and friends and relationships and people trying to destroy your dreams, it gets very complicated, at least for me, when you have business and friendship overlap. So being at Quest, we had 1,500 employees.
Wow.
My media department alone had 20. I was running our shipping department that had 40.
Crazy.
But over time, you end up building friendships with people, right? You're working with someone every single day and you're around them every single day. You end up going for coffee with them, you go for lunch, and you build friendships with them. And so in those situations, it's hard for me to differentiate the difference between is it a business relationship or is it a friendship? And the reason why I try to differentiate is I feel like I'm going to give a different part of me, like I was kind of saying about my sister.
Yep.
And so I'll tell you a story that happened at Quest where, God, I hate rumors and I hate gossip. And so I always try and stay away from it. But there was gossip and there was rumors about certain people saying bad things about me.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's human nature.
Yeah.
Right?
It never feels good.
It doesn't feel good, but look, when you've got that many people, you're a boss, your husband is the president of the company. Like, I get there's going to be a certain amount of, I don't know, hate. I hate to say it. I don't know why. It's true, right? Let's just be honest. There's going to be some haters.
Okay.
The problem was there was one specific person who I thought was a friend.
Oh, no.
And so now I have someone who is working for the company. I think they're a good friend, and I hear that they're talking really badly about me.
Oh my gosh.
So going back to the frenemy thing, I think to myself, okay, what is their intention? And I need to decipher that, right? Like, are they trying to destroy me as a person, right? Are they trying to destroy my position?
Yeah.
Are they just trying to protect themselves? Like, what is it? And so in, I guess, dissecting the situation and who they were and the position that they held, I realized they were actually just to protect their ego. Because they were doing poorly at work. They had had some warnings of because they weren't in my department, but they had some warnings. And so I think it's easy to pick a target. And so once I started realizing, okay, I was a target for them to help their own self-esteem, I actually didn't take it personally.
Wow.
But I absolutely distanced myself from them.
Good.
And I realized who they were as a person. And what I did was say, okay, they don't mean it towards me. They're doing it to protect themselves, but I can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
And in not being a spiteful person, in not being someone who thinks like I don't look at other people and wish for their demise. I just wish for my success. Right? If I'm going to be honest.
You have to focus that energy on yourself, on getting better.
Right. So I refused to, so I never told them that I heard and found out about it.
Need to.
I didn't need to.
No.
But I absolutely distanced myself. Like, I was never rude. I was always very cordial. But every time I would see them, I'd get a little bit of an emotional sting.
Yeah.
And so I would then turn around and just say they don't, I would repeat in my mind, they don't mean to, they don't mean to, they don't mean to, be cordial, be cordial, be cordial.
Yeah.
And so that's what I ended up doing. I would always say hello to them. If they text me, I would be very polite and text them back. But I realized that it actually was toxic for them to be in my life.
I think it's so big of you that you were able to be the bigger person and not create some huge scene and yell at them and ask them, why did you do that? Like, what makes you not want to get into that confrontational state that like a lot of people do because it makes them feel better, I think.
Yeah.
To yell.
So the truth is, I absolutely was mad as hell. Like, I was super upset. I cried behind closed doors. I said all the emotional things I needed to release to my husband. Like, I went through my process. And I think that knowing over time, I kind of developed my process.
Yeah.
But I knew that the second you show somebody absolute anger, and this is something I'm working on because I actually can get quite frustrated quite easily, and so I'm really trying to work on that. But the second you get angry at someone, the second you start shouting at somebody, they dismiss you as emotional. So they just go, oh, she's emotional, yeah, it must be true. And so again, like, I'm working on this because I used to get super emotional in front of people like that, and it doesn't serve you. It really doesn't serve you. People then dismiss you as being an emotional woman.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I refuse to be put in that bucket and be seen in that way. So I know that that's on me. I can't control the rumors. I can't control what other people say about me, but I can control how I act.
Exactly.
And so it was upsetting because I thought they were a friend. For sure, that was upsetting. But when I realized that it wasn't, like, she didn't mean to do it to put me down. She just needs to protect herself. Like, it actually allowed me to calm down, breathe deeply, and just be civil. But, you know, like, when you get stung and, you know, it does, like you were saying, it makes you more cautious. So, yeah. So that's...
Wow. I can't tell you on how many levels I relate to that in business, in friendships, and I mean... I've had people backstab me, and the first thing you do, don't react crazy. Like, take a moment to realize what just happened, and then distance yourself. That is exactly what I do. I distance myself. I become either silent to them if I just never want to have anything to do with that, or you just play,
like, you just ignore them.
So sometimes I will actually just ignore people because I just cannot have you in my life. I cannot, because you are a bad person doing what you're doing. Now, I wouldn't say, I don't want to judgment call someone, and I don't know who your friend was, and I wouldn't want to call her a bad person. But in my case, I do know that the person who backstabbed me was doing it for money and egotistical reasons and all that kind of stuff. So in my eyes, to me, that is a person that I never, ever, ever want to be around, hear from them, or anything. So for me, I completely distance myself away from them, and I have not seen them, luckily, for a couple years now. So,
and that's one thing, obviously, then you suggest, right, when you're feeling that somebody is a negative force in your life, either trying to put you down or, you know, going back to that question, crush your dreams, just basically close that door so that they can't.
Well, for sure. I feel like if someone is making you feel bad, or if someone is sucking the energy away from you and you're just a positive person, they're making you more negative, you do not have time for that. Like, just get away from that. But if you feel like, in your case, you're a frenemy person, you can still say hi, or if you have to because you're working in the same building, then okay, deal. But for me, I wasn't working in the same building as this person, but I did see this person a lot, so I was just like cutting off. And I think that's absolutely fine. If it's going to be for your well-being and your happiness, and having them in your life brings absolutely no value, in fact, it brings negativity, then cut them off. I think that's okay if it's that type of a person.
Yeah, I agree. If they're trying to do it deliberately to bring you down, to crush your dreams, to crush you, because it makes them feel better, I think cutting them out of your life is absolutely the right thing to do. The problem with this situation is I really do believe like she just has her own emotional issues, and I actually just felt sorry for her. The hard thing was every time she saw me, she would hug me.
Oh, that's weird.
That was rough.
That's weird.
But again, like, I don't want to be fake. So that put me in a really awkward position, because again, I told myself, be cordial, be cordial, be cordial, but don't be fake. Man, that was hard.
That's really hard. You know why? Because the truth shows on my face. If I don't like someone, you can tell. And if I really like someone, you can tell. So it's hard and I'm not even a good actress, so you can really tell. And the other thing is there are different levels of friends. Like you have best friends that you can tell everything to and trust everything. Then you have friends that are good for going clubbing, or friends that are good for having brunch, or friends that are good for business. So just realize the limits of your friendships and don't hold it against them. I think everyone is good for something, and you really do have to try to see the good in everyone until they start being a bad person, and then you got to kick them out of your life. Have you ever thought about how people treated you before you were quote unquote successful, and how people treated you afterwards, and what types of people there were? Because I remember back in school, people really didn't like me. And I remember once a senior told me this when I was a freshman: the people in your business class really don't like you. You ask too many questions. And I was like so upset. I started crying. I was like, people don't like me. Oh my God. But I still was mean. I still asked all the questions and was like just shameless about it.
Gotta love that.
So I didn't have that many friends. But when Blogilates became a thing, I started getting all of these like Facebook DMs and like emails from people I hadn't heard from in a long time, asking things like to pick my brain or to meet up for coffee. And I'm like, do you not remember what you said to me or how you treated me back then? I just feel like it's so weird. People are shameless about this kind of stuff. And I just don't like that. And I can see the intention, because the intention was you didn't like me back then because you didn't see I had any value. Now you see I have value and you want to be near me. And I think that's just disgusting.
But you know it immediately, right?
Oh, yeah, you know. And so I just don't even answer those things. It's
just ignore it.
Yeah, totally ignore it.
Yeah, same thing. Like, I sense it. The people that were true, and, like, God, going back to my sister, I would give my life for that woman, because as a kid, she protected me. As a kid, like, she was just always there for me. And so the success of Quest, and like, it's never phased her even once. And like, even now, like, if I buy her a present, she'll keep refusing. I'm like, would you stop it? Like, for heaven's sake, you're my sister. You've been there for me my entire life. So you just know. Right, that's what I was saying. Like, if she called me and wanted it, I'd drop everything in a heartbeat.
For sure. For sure.
So, yeah.
And sometimes you want to help the people who don't even ask you for a single thing either. 100%. And I will go above and beyond for a genuine person who I just want to help because I want to. Yeah.
And the people who have encouraged your dream, right? Like, we've spoken so much about the negative people in our life. I think, the people who have always been positive and always encouraging and always really believed in you, I think that those are the people you need to stay focused on.
Oh my gosh,
right?
yes.
That if and when you succeed, those are the people you need to make sure that you show, your gratitude to them on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis.
You are so right. I think gratitude is something that we all need to practice. We need to say thank you to those who helped us, who believed in us when nobody else would. And specifically for me, there was a professor, Dr. Crane, who was my marketing professor in college, who super believed in me, super believed in me. And of course, my boyfriend, Sam, who I've been with since college. So we've been together for a long time. And these were the days where I was just like, I'm gonna start a yoga bag company, and I'm gonna do this and that, and start a YouTube channel. And like, it was like, people were just like, whatever. My parents were like, whatever. And they believed in me. And obviously, I'm still with Sam to this day. And I still keep in touch with my business professor. I'm just so thankful for these people, because I don't know, it's just like when someone believes in you when you have nothing, it's one of the most beautiful feelings in the world.
Yeah. Do good deeds to the people that to do good deeds to you. Like, never take it for granted.
So I think today's lesson, really, distance yourself away from people who don't make you feel good, and keep those who do make you feel good even closer.
Yeah, and never give up on your dream. Do not let an obstacle get in your way, whether that's a physical obstacle, a person, an emotion. Like, never let that get in your way of your dream.
And you know what? And if you fail on the way towards your dream, I think that is a blessing, because it is a learning tool. You need to figure out how to use that failure to get closer to your dream. You know what? Sometimes the dream can change. The dream can go a little bit off to the right or a little bit off to the left or completely backwards and the other way around. But every step that you take and every failure that you have is going to teach you which step to take next. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. It's life. It's learning. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've really had a lot of fun on this episode.
Me too.
Thank you guys for listening. Submit any questions or topics that you really want us to discuss. And until next time, be Sheroic.
All right, guys, if today's episode has inspired you to be fearless and bring out your inner Shero,
please, guys, rate, review, subscribe. It would mean the world to us. Shout it from the rooftops. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dogs.
And also follow us on Be Sheroic pretty much everywhere on social media. We love you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.